Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the game according to me. As always, we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about NFL and the playoff picture. We're going to talk about that great national championship game from last night, and we're going to talk about the All-Star voting, first results, in the NBA. So let's go ahead and let's get cracking, y'all. So let's start with those NBA All-Star voting results. The first fan returns came back a little bit last week. I think it came back maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember, but Golden State, Stephen Curry, and Brooklyn's Kevin Durant leads the Western and Eastern Conference respectively in the first fan returns of the NBA All-Star voting presented by Dassault. NBA PR tweeted out last week, actually on the 6th, as I see here. So the next NBA All-Star fan voting update will be Thursday, Jan 13th, which is this week. So I will have an update on it next week. But let's look at the thing. We look at the Western Conference first. In the front court, we have LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Paul George, 1, 2, 3. So they would be the leaders. Wiggins and Green are 4 and 5 from the Golden State Warriors. Anthony Davis, 6 from the Lakers. Karl Anthony Towns, 7 from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Carmelo Anthony's 8 from the Lakers. Rudy Gobert is 9, and DeAndre Ayton is 10. For the guards of the Western Conference, Steph Curry, like we said, the leader is 1. Luka Doncic will be 2 from Dallas. And number 3 is Ja Morant. Number 4 is Klay Thompson. Kind of a weird thing. This is why they changed the way they do voting. It's just not the fan vote that gets the starters in. The media and the players, they also vote as well, because then you have things like this. Because Klay Thompson could possibly surpass Doncic and Morant, and then be starting back with Stephen Curry. So that would be wrong. And they did it because a couple years ago, Zaza Pachulia almost won the vote to be the starting center in the NBA All-Star game. So that's why they changed it. Devin Booker is 5th from Phoenix. Chris Paul, also from Phoenix, is 6th. Donovan Mitchell is 7th. Damian Lillard is 8th. Russell Westbrook is 9th. And Anthony Edwards is 10th. Those are the top 10 for the guards and for the front court from the Western Conference. From the Eastern Conference, we look ahead at the front court. Like the tweet mentioned, Kevin Durant is the leader of the Eastern Conference. He is number 1. Giannis from Milwaukee is 2. And Joel Embiid is 3. Those are the top 3. Those would be the ones that would, be ahead. That's what they do. They take the top 3 front court vote getters and the top 2 back court vote getters. And then they do the randomly picking thing that I think is just I don't like it. I don't like it. It was okay with me the first couple of times, but now it's just time to go back to East and West Coast. East and West Western Conference. So let's finish up. 4th is Jason Tatum. 5 is Jimmy Butler. 6 is Jarrett Allen from Cleveland, who is they are having a surprisingly good year. 7 is Bam Adebayo. 8 is Miles Bridges. That's kind of a shock. 9 is LaMarcus Aldridge, and 10 is Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls. Speaking of the Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan is the number 1 backcourt vote getter with over 1 million votes. Then James Harden from Brooklyn is 2. Trae Young from Atlanta 3. Zach LaVine, DeRozan. I can't say backcourt because after DeRozan plays the front court, I don't know why they got him as a backcourt, but whatever. LaVine is 4. LaMelo Ball is 5. Kyrie Irving is 6. Again, Kyrie Irving just started back playing. He was playing on the road. Derrick Rose is 7. Derrick Rose is it's a back. I don't get it. Tyler Hero is 8. Darius Garland is 9, and Fred VanVleet is 10th. So Again, like the tweet said, we'll get another wrap up of the All-Star voting coming up on Tuesday. I will have the second fan results coming to you next week. So that's that. So now let's check out the college football national championship game from last night. The Georgia Bulldogs against Alabama Crimson Tide. Again, I had no problem with it being an all SEC championship game because we had a playoff, and I think that's good. I was more upset that Georgia couldn't beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, which would have maybe given Notre Dame a chance to get in there, but that's neither here nor there. So there's a rematch happening, and it was a really good game last night. It's the first half really was about defense. You know, both teams drove down the field, but they couldn't get it into the end zone. So at halftime, it was 9-6, Alabama with the lead. And then we got some scoring happening. We got a touchdown from Georgia in the third quarter. Alabama came back with a field goal and another touchdown in the fourth quarter. They missed they went for a 2-point conversion. They missed, but Georgia Bulldogs, they came out and they had really good timing. They scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, and it was just unstoppable. And the final one was the pick six that Bryce Young threw when he was trying to bring the Crimson Tide back. So I really thought it was a really good game. Again, for like the sixth time, they showed a stat that like the 5 times prior to this one, where a team that played in the regular season met met later in the year in a championship game or something like that. And each time the team that lost the first time won the second time. It did happen just last year with Clemson. Notre Dame beat Clemson in the first time, and Clemson beat Notre Dame the second time. And I think the caveat is that it had to be a top 5 team. It had to be 2 teams in the top 5. So that's what it was. And it happened 5 times. This was the 6th one, and again it happened where Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, but Georgia come back and beat Alabama in the national championship game. Very good. Georgia, this first time Georgia's won the national championship since 1980. Good for them. Kirby Smart get the monkey off his back, finally beating his mentor, his Nick Saban. Yeah, so I think this was what it was supposed to be. Bryce Young, he had a okay day. He went 35 or 57 of 369, and he had the 2 interceptions. Unfortunately, especially the last one that kind of ended their rally. But yeah, Jameson Williams, excuse me, he got injured unfortunately. So they went to Cameron Latu a lot with Bryce Young, but they just couldn't get the job done. Georgia was there. Georgia was game this time. And all the people who was talking about Stetson Bennett, maybe Stetson Bennett wasn't good enough. I think I realized this. The college football isn't the NFL. In the NFL, you need your quarterback more than likely, more often than not, to make, to be a superstar in the playoff for your team to win. To make it into advance. That doesn't need to happen in the college football game. Only thing you need your quarterback to be is competent. And Stetson Bennett is competent. He was 17, 26, 224, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was confident. He was competent, and I think he shut up some of the dollars last night, showing that he could, lead this team to a championship. So very good. Like I said, I think it was a very good game, even though the score is is seems kind of lopsided. Again, it's because of that last pick six. But I thought it was really, really good. And yes, let's just do this. Now let's check out and see what happens next year for the college football national championship. As you all know, I will in August. I will definitely be having my thoughts, on teams, things like that I will give you right here on the Game According to Me. So stay tuned. It's August, and you'll hear those thoughts. But yes, once again, congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs on winning the 2021-2022 national championship. So as always, let's end this with the National Football League. Before we talk about what went down, over this weekend in the games, and then we'll talk about the playoffs. Yesterday was Black Monday, as it's known, because usually the Monday after the last game of the season, coaches, GMs, other personnel, they get fired. Unfortunately, that's just how the way this thing is. We already know that Jacksonville looking for a coach. They fired Urban Meyer in the middle of the season, and we know that John Gruden was let go after the controversy with him happened in the beginning of the season. So let's look at who lost their jobs. Unfortunately, first one is Vic Fangio. He actually lost it Sunday as his team, the Broncos, played on Saturday. He lost the job, unfortunately. There were rumors that the GM really liked him, but going 19-30 in 3 years, I think was maybe, unfortunately, the way that they realized they needed to go in a separate direction. So, but Vic is he's gonna land on his feet somewhere, get a defensive coordinator job, or maybe another head coaching job. Who knows? Brian Flores, which was actually a very shock. They decided to let go of a coach who won who started 1-7 and ended 9-8. He led Dolphins to a 10-6 record last year. Over 3 years, he had a 24-25 record, just one under 500. But Stephen Ross decided to let him go, and I'm not sure why. So the Dolphins will be looking for another head coach. Matt Nagy. Now he had in his 4 years he had a 3 games over 500 record. He was 34-31. However, I think what happened was, after going 12-4 in his first year, it just went down. He had 2 consecutive back-to-back 8-8 seasons, including one that helped them get, they got into the playoffs last year, but that was mainly because that was the first year of the 17 playoff in East Conference. So if it was back to normal, he would not have gotten in the playoffs. And then this year was just unfortunately a piss poor performance by him and his coaching staff and his team. He still ended up with a 34-31 record. After 4 years, they let him go. They decided to let him go, and they decided to let go of also the GM Ryan Pace, who in 7 years as the GM has a horrible record under him. He's only had that one winning season in 2018 with Matt Nagy at the helm, and he is missed on everything. The unbelievable gall in 2017 to trade up one spot to draft Mitchell Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. It's a bad one. He missed on Kevin White in his first draft. A lot of us thought that he missed on Leonard Floyd, but Leonard Floyd went to the Rams and become a pretty decent complementary pass rush. Pass rush to Aaron Donald and now Von Miller over there in Los Angeles. Um, he's missing another one. He drafted Adam Shaheen when he could have drafted Juju Smith-Schuster and others, and and so it's a lot of things, and a lot of his, um, there's a lot of things that he's done as a GM. It's just unfortunate. It didn't work out, and y'all know that the Bears are my team, and so with the firing of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, I'm looking to see, and I watched the George McCaskey conference presser yesterday, and boy, oh boy, that was a whole lot of nothing from nothing. And the only thing that came out of that he thinks Olin Kreutz likes to lie. The only thing that he has said. So, yeah. We'll see where the Bears go from here. There's already, there's already been like 4 or 5 names they've talked about. They wanted to try to, interview for the coaching job. Both for the Bills coordinators, Doug Peterson, and I think there was a few others that were announced. I can't remember at this time, but yeah, it's a big time thing for my Bears. And Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer was released, as well as the GM Rick Spielman. He made the playoffs 3 times in 8 years, and he compiled a 72, 56, and 1 record over those 8 years. But unfortunately, I think, we live in an age where even if you have a winning record, it doesn't, unless you're in Baltimore like John Harbaugh, or unless you're in Pittsburgh like Mike Tomlin, or you're in New Orleans like the New Orleans Saints, and let's face it, those teams, those coaches have one thing over Mike Zimmer, and that's they've won the Super Bowl. At least they won one Super Bowl. So Mike Zimmer didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. He made the playoffs only 3 times. So unfortunately, he had to go, and I guess Rick Spielman has to go as well. So yeah, we'll see where they head in their coaching and GM search. So again, like I said, it's always a bad thing for that was a bad thing for the Black Mondays firings to happen, and we're still waiting to see. There still could be more. The Dave Gettleman in New York retired. So we'll see if the new GM wants to keep Joe Judge, and then there could always be other things going on as well. There's always going to be other things that happen. Maybe with some of the playoff teams. Maybe the coaches of the playoff teams could be they could fire their coach or something like that because of whatever. Like I don't know. Just like Arizona, there could be a possibility that they fire Cliff Kingsbury for a squad that started off like 7-1 or 8-1, something like that, and they just went down the pants leg the rest of the season. Now they still made the playoffs, but they were the number 1 seed, and a lot of teams thought they were the best team in the league at one point. But so we'll have to wait and see what goes down to the rest of them. So that's that for Black Monday. Now let's check out what happened this past weekend in football. We had 2 games on Saturday. The Chiefs and the Broncos. Chiefs won that 28-24, and the Cowboys beat the Eagles in amazing fashion, 51-26. Chiefs, Cowboys, and Eagles all making the playoffs. Broncos, like I said, did not. Unfortunately, Vic Fangio did get fired. Now the Sunday action: Washington beat the Giants 22-7. We'll see about Joe Judge. The Bengals lost to the Browns 21-16. Bengals obviously rested some of their players. I think he played maybe a half, but the Browns came out. Baker Mayfield did not play. We got to see what the Browns are going to do with Baker Mayfield. They picked up the 5th option, so he will be there next year. But the what's the name? The contract extension probably won't come until until after the season is over. Excuse me. The Steelers beat the Ravens in overtime, 16-13. It was Ben Roethlisberger one last chance to make the playoffs, but he needed other things to happen, and those other things did happen. We'll talk about that when that happens. Packers only played a half or a little bit into the third quarter in their game against the Lions, so the Lions came back and won 37-30. Dan Campbell again just continues to prove that his team is fighting for him. They just don't really have the talent at this point. And again, I don't know what happened to Jared Goff. I was sure that Jared Goff was he was just not a product of Sean McVay, but it may look like that he was. So the Jaguars shockingly beat the Colts 26-11. Now coming into this game, there was things that were like the Colts had lost 5 straight games at Jacksonville, but this was different, right? No, it wasn't. Jacksonville played well. The fans there upset with Shad Khan. They dressed as clowns for the clown show, but there was no clown show on that field from the Jaguars. They beat the Colts 26-11. That was one of the things that Pittsburgh needed to happen to get in. So that was interesting. Vikings beat the Bears 31-17. Justin Jefferson came 19 yards short of breaking Randy Moss's record of for a single season yardage in this record. Titans beat the Texans 28-25. Texans were very game. Titans had a 21-0 lead, and Texans came back with 25 points. The Titans did hold on. They had a number 1 seed going into the playoffs. Saints beat the Falcons 30-20. The Saints needed to beat the Falcons, and they needed the 49ers to lose to make the playoffs. So we'll talk about that in a second. Seahawks beat the Cardinals 38-30 for the first time in his career. Russell Wilson is in a losing season. Yeah, like I said, Cardinals make the playoffs. So they didn't really need this game. Well, they needed the game because they could have won the division if the 49ers beat the Rams. Bills beat the Jets 27-10. Buccaneers beat the Panthers 41-17. Buccaneers are in. Bills won the AFC East because the Dolphins beat the Patriots 33-24. Once again, talking about another thing, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and against the Colts. The Patriots did not beat the Dolphins in December or January. For some reason, they just don't do it. They don't beat the Dolphins in Miami. They just don't do it. But the Patriots are in the playoffs. 49ers beat the Rams 24-17, knocking out the Saints, keeping a spot for them. And the Rams, because of the Cardinals loss, they won the division. But it would have been nice to win the game because I think they could have had a shot at getting a higher seed. And you've got the Raiders and the Chargers. Now, going into this game, everything the Steelers needed the Jaguars to beat the Colts. They needed they needed something else. They needed the Jaguars because they needed to beat the Ravens, and they needed the Chargers and Raiders to not tie. And they needed the Chargers and the Raiders to not tie to make the playoffs. And when you goddamn know it, the Chargers and Raiders played the overtime. Each team kicked a field goal, and we were driving down the field, and it looked like the Raiders were actually, looking to run out the clock, basically. So, after the 2-minute warning, they ran a play, they ran on first down, and then they ran on second down. And it looks like what they were going to do is maybe run. They were in shotgun formation. So they were either going to run a shotgun play on third down, or they were going to pass it, for whatever, looking to see if they can get the first down. who knows what they exactly were going to do. But Brandon Staley called a timeout because he wanted to get their defense onto the field. When they called a timeout, I think they kind of said, well, listen, they're trying to get the ball back. Let's go ahead and let's end this. And then they changed the play, came out under center, ran a power play to the left, and Just Jacobs got the first down. They took the clock down to 2 seconds, called a timeout, and kicked the field goal. Daniel Carlson, who was perfect in the Raiders stadium, he hit it right down the middle, and the Raiders win 35-32. And it looks like that timeout might have cost the Chargers a chance to make the playoffs. But a tie, and it was Justin Herbert was seen. They were caught by the NBC cameras, talking to somebody saying, "I've never wanted a tie so bad," and that was right after Brandon Staley called, a timeout. Brandon Staley. I put this on Twitter. I don't know if he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, or if I don't know what he's doing. But in this point in this game, he's on his own 18. He did a 4th and 1. And it didn't happen. They didn't get it, and he's done this all the time. He's one of these coaches that uses the analytics, and analytics is ruining sports altogether. We know this. He's going for 2 when you're down. When you score a touchdown and then you're down 9. You're down 9. Some people think for some reason that you should go for 2. And if you go for 2 and you make it, then okay. Then you're only down 7, and you just need a touchdown to keep the extra point. Rather than if you kick the extra point, a touchdown you score, you'll be down 8 and have to, get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. I find that stupid. I find that to be stupid. Now he went for it and it worked. But I find that to be stupid. He's one of these proponents of that. And he's done it all year long. And it's one thing to be aggressive. I'm totally fine with that. Yeah. To me, I always say that if you can get a 4th and 1, if you can get a 4th and 1 or shorter, and I might even go 4th and 2. If you can get like a 4th and 2 or shorter with your offense, playing power football, you don't deserve to win. I've always said that. But for me, it's not on your own 19-yard line. Maybe maybe if you're like on your 35, or maybe if you're 35 and you won't going out, then yeah, I would be all for that. But not on your own 19. But even if they do 3 incompletions, they still can kick a chip shot field goal. Well, not chip shot, but an easy field goal. So I don't know. He's gonna have to do some self scouting. He's gonna have to really, look at himself and say, hey, being aggressive is one thing, but maybe being overly aggressive is the downfall for this season. So again, Raiders beat the Chargers 35-32. Now let's look at the playoffs, the Wildcard rounds. Saturday's games. The Raiders will go to the Bengals at 4:30. The Patriots and the Bills will play at 8:15. I think everybody's hoping for some good weather, and not good weather. Well, good weather in the fact that more wind, more snow, maybe something like that, a wintry mix in Buffalo Saturday night. Let's see what happens. It's the third game. The third time this team playing. Both teams won a game in the other team's home. So let's see what happens Saturday night. On Sunday, the Eagles will take on the Buccaneers at 1. The 49ers and the Cowboys. First time they played in the playoffs since the 94 season. So that was in the NFC Championship game, which the 49ers won to go on to the Super Bowl and play the Chargers. That's happening at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And in another wildcard game, the Steelers going in are facing the Chiefs. Will this be Ben Roethlisberger's last game, or can the Steelers upset the Chiefs and try to make a run for Big Ben? Do for Big Ben what Big Ben did for Jerome Bettis. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting. And for the first time in the history of the playoffs, we have a Monday night wild card game. The Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams, Monday Night Football on ESPN. So there we have it, guys. We are in the playoffs. We're now heading towards the Super Bowl. Let's go. All right, y'all. That's going to be it for this week's edition of the Game According to Me. If you feel the need to want to support this podcast any type of way, there's many ways to do it. Go to patron.com/AJTRIP. Become a patron. Once I hit a certain amount of patrons, you will be able to determine what you will hear on my new podcast. The first episode is up. I'm a man, I'm 40. Make sure you go to there. It's the Word According to Me. You will be able to say the topic that I do on my YouTube channel. And maybe I'm bringing back the Twitch. Maybe I can do something. I can't play video games, but I can do something where I can maybe do a live stream and talk about something. Who knows? Maybe a live podcast or maybe a live whatever. But yeah, you'll be able to do that if you go there to patreon.com/AJTRIP. Or if you want to just support me, another way, you can go on anchor.fm/AndreTripper Show, in which you can subscribe to my podcast. It's going from 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. That's so that's the way to do that for that. Or the non-monetary way to support me is to just, wherever you're listening to my podcast, just rate me high, leave good reviews, and share it on all your social medias, your Instagrams, your Twitters, your Facebooks, wherever. I just enjoy the fact that once again you decided to listen to my podcast, and that is also good enough for me. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is your boy AJTRIP signing off. By the way, I didn't mention it's my birthday today. I am 40. Holy shit. You guys, as always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.